I've spent the last week listening to a lot of Beatles, trying to narrow down what are my 10 favorite Beatles songs. Not an easy task. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. We're talking the Beatles today. I have seen a lot of stuff online and a lot of stuff on YouTube in recent weeks because of the re-release of the John Lennon Mind Games, anniversary edition, super box sets, that kind of thing. It got me into a Beatles mood. And I got thinking to myself, what are my favorite Beatles songs? It was a chore, let me tell you. They recorded 200 and something songs. How do I narrow that down to my favorite 10? After a lot of work, and a lot of listening, and a lot of debate, and a lot of lists, I've done it. So let's take a look at what my favorite Beatles songs are. Number 10, from the White Album, Happiness is a Warm Gun. This is, I think, one of John's coolest songs, one of his most inventive songs. It is essentially fragments of 3 songs that John put together. It's inspired by an article that he read in a magazine called American Rifleman. In John's own words, sort of the 3 sections were called The Dirty Old Man, The Junkie, and The Gunman are sort of the 3 different sections of this song. But it's kind of like a sort of a bluesy sort of intro, and then there's the middle section is the Mother Superior section. That's kind of the vocal refrain from that. And then there's kind of a doo-wop-y sort of ending to it. And I just love how those 3 songs blend together. It's got this really cool sort of electric guitar tone that's dirty and punchy kind of throughout the whole thing. And I love the guitar tone of that. You'll find that this is a common thread, actually, as we go through my top 10. I'm a guitar guy, so that obviously carries a lot of weight in terms of what I like in a song. What's the song about? Hell knows. The first part of it, sort of the bluesy part, it's about an acid trip that John took with Derek Taylor. And actually, Derek, I guess, contributed a couple of the opening lyrics. But yeah, it's just kind of a neat song that has multiple time signature changes, multiple key changes. I just think the construction of the song is very interesting. I love the guitar tones in this song. This version here is my mid-70s Canadian pressing. It's the Purple Capel label on white vinyl. I have first pressings Canadian. I've got numbered U.S. first pressings. I've got the reissues. I've got all the Super Deluxe. The only White Album I don't have is an original UK first press, but I'm working on it. Number 9 from my favorite album of all time, off the Sgt. Pepper album, is With a Little Help from My Friends. This is a song Paul wrote. Ringo sings it. It's part of that concept that Paul had sort of created for this album. It's a concept album, but really it's Paul's concept for part of the album. But the opening song, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, it sort of introduces, this Sgt. Pepper's band, and it's, kind of the concept is it's a live kind of show, and it transitions into introducing Billy Shears and the song With a Little Help from My Friends, which Ringo sings. I love that it's part of that concept, which I think is great. The one thing I really love is sort of the call and answer vocals part of it. The guy singing backing vocals, there's the, do you need anybody? And then Ringo will say, I just need somebody to love. I just love that sort of call and answer vocal interplay. The Paul, John, George backing vocals, sort of the counterpoint to Ringo singing lead on it. I love it. It's a fun song. It is, for me, a pretty nostalgic song. This is one of the Beatles songs, maybe the most that I remember with vivid clarity the first time I heard it. And I've told the story before. The first time I heard Sgt. Pepper, I was at my best friend's girlfriend's house. Yes, he was there too. Uh, and she put this on, and I was blown away by this album. And the first song was great. And then when this song came on, I just remember sitting on the couch going, holy crap. So for me, the joy of discovering the Beatles as a teenager is encapsulated in that moment. So with a little help from my friends, ranks so high on my list because of that moment. This version here is my UK first press. You can see it's got the Garrett and Lofthouse fold over covers. This is the original UK mono, and it sounds amazing. I have like 17 different versions of Sgt. Pepper. This is my preferred one. Number 8 is going to be one that I would bet does not rank high for anybody, and that's okay, because this is my list. Off of Anthology 2, I absolutely love Real Love. So Real Love was a song that John had worked on, written post-Beatles. And there are many, I think there's half a dozen different versions of it in various different arrangements and with different instrumentation, whatever. But it was one of the 4 songs given to Paul by Yoko at John's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, with the hope that the remaining Beatles could work on them. Don't get me wrong, I like Free as a Bird, but Real Love is awesome. I love that it's a piano song, and I love sort of the, George has little slide guitar bits in there that are awesome, that just sort of punctuate what's being played on the piano. And then his solo is fantastic. One of the things that's strange is they sped up the tape, I guess, to make the song a little more up tempo. What that did is raise the key from a D minor to an E flat minor. What that does is John's vocals are a little bit higher. There are versions on YouTube where folks have lowered it back to its proper key, and that sounds amazing. I wish that they had done that, but even still, what makes me love this song is I sort of came of age, if you will, in the mid 90s. It's when I was a young teenager, mid teenager, whatever. At the time that the anthologies were coming out, which is when I was discovering the Beatles for the first time. I obviously wasn't alive in the 60s, so I couldn't experience new Beatles material until the anthologies came out. And this and Free as a Bird, I got to hear a new Beatles song when everyone else got to hear it as well. And so the thrill of hearing a new Beatles song was awesome. And also, the other nostalgia part of it too. I was a young teenage boy. There was a girl. Real love. Yeah. It's all bullshit. But at the time, you think it's something. So for all of those reasons, Real Love is just one of my favorites. And I know it's a throwaway for most people, but damn it, I love it. This is my original press of Anthology. I don't know if they've ever been repressed from the original, 1996 or whenever this came out. Be nice if they did actually repress them, but thankful to have the anthologies on vinyl because they're very enjoyable. Okay, number 7. Another song that I can almost guarantee is nowhere near the top of anyone's list. In fact, this is a Beatles song that a lot of folks hate, but I love it. At number 7, off the White Album, Obl Oda. Yes, I love that song. Most people rank it as one of their worst Beatles songs. I love it because it's fun. It's kind of got sort of a kind of a funky piano kind of thing. There's some Jamaican ska influence there. That's what Paul was trying to do. He actually borrowed the phrase Obl Oda, life goes on, brah, from a London-based Nigerian performer named Jimmy Scott. He had his Obl Oda band. That's kind of where Paul borrowed that from. There was actually some legalities involved with Jimmy Scott saying, hey, that's mine, but Paul said it's a colloquial phrase, and ultimately Paul won. It's funny because in the final verse, Paul actually makes an error, and he says, Desmond stays at home and does his pretty face. It should have been Molly stays at home and does his pretty face. But you know what? The other Beatles absolutely hated the song Obl Oda, so they didn't want to re-record it, and they thought it was funny that Paul screwed up the lyrics, so they made him keep it that way, as I guess as kind of retribution for them being forced to record this song that they hated. But me, I love it. It's simply just fun. And also, I love playing it on guitar myself. I just have a blast. I think it's great. Nothing deep about it, just fun. Number 6 from Past Masters is Day Tripper. Day Tripper was a single, actually. It was the double A-sided single. So Day Tripper, and We Can Work It Out. This is my UK Parlophone 45. This is how it was released. It wasn't on an album until Past Masters, or at least that's when I discovered it. I mean, what's really distinctive about Day Tripper is that opening guitar lick. And that's really a ripoff of a song by Bobby Parker called Watch Your Step. I went to listen to that, and it's very similar. A couple notes are a little bit different. I mean, it's very, very, very close. So plagiarism, I don't know, not for me to say, but I think it's pretty obvious John borrowed it from this song. But nevertheless, that's the signature part of this song. Everyone knows the Day Tripper lick. As soon as you hear it, you're like, that's Day Tripper. It's really a drug song. It's about day tripping. It's about John's experimentation with LSD and Paul's reluctance to eventually try LSD. What I really like about Day Tripper is it's what I sort of consider the first transitional song. Up until this point, it was still sort of the, Fab Four mop top kind of stuff. Yeah, we were starting to get away from that in the sort of, Rubber Soul. There were some songs that were starting to drift from that. Day Tripper was the first, in my mind anyway, the first song that was like markedly different than anything that had come before it. And it was sort of to signal where we would go with Revolver and onwards. So I love that because to me, Day Tripper is the watershed moment where everything changes for the Beatles in a really, really good way. So this is the 2012 stereo repress or remaster of Past Masters. There is in 1980s pressing, which is Volume 1 and Volume 2. That's how it's labeled because it was Volume 1 and Volume 2 on CD. I don't have that, but this is the stereo remaster version of Past Masters. You can also get it on Mono Masters too, which I also have. Number 5 from Rubber Soul is the song In My Life. In My Life is the first song that John actually wrote about his own life and his own experiences. It was originally conceptualized as John writing a song about a bus ride that he went on and many of the landmarks that he saw throughout Liverpool. But when he was done with it, he sort of felt that it was too much of a campy sort of storytelling kind of song. So he rewrote the lyrics to be more conceptual rather than visual. And it's really just John's reflection on friends and lovers, as he says in the song, friends and lovers that are, some are gone and some are living and that sort of thing. And it's his sort of reminiscence on the past, which I really love. And the one line, speaking of friends and lovers, that goes, "Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I love them all," apparently is a reference to his dear friend Stu Sutcliffe, who passed away just before the Beatles hit big. But I just love this song because of it's the memory song as far as I'm concerned. It's the song, if I want to reminisce about something, this is the one that brings back the feels, whatever it may be. That sort of 6-note piano intro that is repeated, at the start of every verse is just such a touchstone of that song as well. One of John's best conceptual songs in my mind. I have it here on my Canadian stereo first pressing of Revolver. The US album was the same. I've also got the UK first press as well, and got all the mono remasters, but this was the first version of In My Life that I owned. Number 4, yet another John song from Help. And that would be the title track, Help. I love this song. It was one of my favorite Beatles songs right from the very beginning. What I love about this song is it's John's silent cry for help, if you will. He said in an interview in 1980, the whole Beatles thing was just beyond comprehension. I was subconsciously crying out for help. It's strange to think that, on top of the world, he felt smothered. You know what I mean? Conceptually, I think it's great. It is in my mind, one of the best sort of Fab Four era songs. But what I really like about it, and this is always stuck in my mind, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the background vocals that George and Paul do lead John through the song, almost as if they're helping him. So, George and Paul will start to harmonize the background vocal about a note ahead of John. So George and Paul will be like, now, and then a note later, John will come in and say, now these days are gone. And then the next line, George and Paul will sort of, again, harmonize, now I find, and then John will come in about a note later, now I find I've changed my mind. It's subtle, but to me, it's the background vocals are underneath the lead vocal, but it's like they're helping him through the song. I don't know if that's intentional, but that's something that struck me years ago, and I thought, man, that's clever. Aside from the fact that the lyrics are great, the guitars are great, the vocals are great, everything, I love the song. This is my UK stereo first pressing. I've got the mono remasters. This is how we had in Canada. Same in the US. The gatefold soundtrack for the movie, not the same as the UK album because it's only got about half the songs and then the rest is filled with instrumental sections from the movie. I am not a fan of the North American version of this album by any means, and I never ever listened to it. Number 3, back to the White Album again for yet another John song. And this song is Revolution. There's 3 different versions of Revolution. There's Revolution number 1, which appears on the White Album, which is, a slower kind of bluesy, mellow kind of thing. Then there's Revolution number 9, which has really nothing to do with Revolution. It's the massive sound collage on side 4 that I hate and never listened to. And then there's Revolution, which was the single, which was the B-side of Hey Jude. It's the version I prefer. It's the fast one. It's really rocking. The guitar intro on that, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, is great through the whole thing. I mean, again, I've said it before, guitars are a big thing for me. So the guitar in Revolution just does it. Revolution was the Beatles' first real political song. I mean, you could argue Taxman came before it, and it was kind of a political commentary, but not in the same way that Revolution was. John's lyrics sort of expressed the need for social change, but he wasn't anti-establishment like he later became. So, his sort of thing was, we need change, but we all want to see the plan, as the lyrics go. Just a song I've always loved because, it's just a great rock song. Number 2, off of Revolver, And Your Bird Can Sing. Love this song. Another song written by John. John said years later that it was a throwaway song, that he didn't, he didn't care much for it, didn't put a lot of thought into it. Was not a fan of this song. I love it. It's something about this song has always got me. And I think what it is, again, it's the guitar in this song. So there is a rhythm guitar part. Presumably John plays it. But what I really like about this is it's a dual lead guitar. Both Paul and George are both playing Epiphone Casinos, and they're slightly playing different lead lines, but they sort of, the guitar parts harmonize, and it's a dual lead. And it's kind of got like a jangly birds kind of feel to it, which I think was what they were going for. But that's just kind of the trademark of this song. And I think up to that point, that really hadn't been done before, sort of the dual lead guitar kind of thing. It's something that later, a few years later would become almost a trademark of like southern rock kind of thing. But the Beatles were one of the first to really do that. I love that about the song. The song itself is pretty simple. I mean, it's E, F sharp minor, A E. Like, it's a very simple 4-chord structure throughout the whole song, except for the bridge. Very easy rhythm guitar part, but it's that dual lead that just really makes this song resonate, or sing as your bird can sing. So, released on the UK version of Revolver. This is my second pressing UK mono version. Was not on the North American version of Revolver. It was left off of Revolver. And in North America, we got it on the compilation album Yesterday and Today. And now, for number one. Drum roll, please. From the White Album, another John song. And this is one I've talked about before. But if you haven't seen any of my videos where I mention this, I don't think you would ever pick this as anyone's favorite. It's a pretty deep cut. Everybody's Got Something to Hide, except for Me and My Monkey. I frickin' love this song. John wrote it after the Beatles got back from Rishikesh, where they were practicing Transcendental Meditation with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And this song is just full of the Maharishi's mantras. So, come on is such a joy. The higher you fly, the deeper you go. Your inside is out, your outside is in. It's a bullshit wisdom, but this is what this song was full of. And then with the throwaway title of Everybody's Got Something to Hide except for Me and My Monkey. Cool. It's kind of a nonsensical title, which I think is hilarious, juxtaposed with, deep philosophical, meditational meanderings. I love it. But what does it for me with this song? The guitars, of course. It's just got this dirty, up-tempo rock, which was a nice change from the psychedelic stuff that they had been doing previously, with, Sgt. Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour. But it just, it's got this cool, crunchy guitar all the way through. But it starts off with the dun dun dun, and then this bell comes in, not a cowbell, but it's a bell, and it hits the 16th notes, ding 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 ding, and it's just this loud sort of raucous song. I mean, I think it's probably one of the Beatles' maybe their hardest song, or one of. I love it because it's a whole. I love it because it's a whole bag of, awesome guitars and this like weird, almost cowbell kind of thing, and a nonsensical title and lyrics that are, I guess, in John's mind deep, in mine not so much. But everything about this song, it's the perfect storm of weirdness, and I love it. Has always, since the day I heard it 30 years ago, been my favorite Beatles song. Well, folks, there's my 10 favorite Beatles songs. I'm sure everybody's list is going to be different. Drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what some of your favorite Beatles songs are, or what your top 10 is, or what your favorite is. I would be very interested to hear what they are. Or let me know if you think my list is crap. That's okay too. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Get you guys on the flip side.